Well, happy Wednesday afternoon, North Georgia. Meteorologist Angel Wilson here with the weekly weather update. We've got a lot to talk about. Really not a lot going on this next week, but a lot that has happened here over this past week, really, especially with the tornadoes that we have had confirmed, and then also all the rain that we've had. And we do still have a little bit of active weather here as we head throughout this next week. We're going to talk about that, but again, a lot to talk about, so let's jump in right to it. Not a lot going on across the southeast at this moment. We do have some storms over into Louisiana and Texas. That's about it. Here in Georgia, though, you see that it's nice and quiet. Looking out from our tower cam there into Cobb County on Arizona Avenue out towards Midtown and downtown, just a stunning view there. And wherever you're looking out today, whether it's out at the airport, out towards Atlanta Motor Speedway, or maybe you're out towards the King and Queen Towers in Sandy Springs, Truist Park, you see a lot of blue sky overhead, just a few thin clouds overhead that are passing over, and that is about it. Satellite and radar shows that we have the quiet conditions here again across Georgia. Let's again look at what we have going on here towards southern portions of Alabama. You notice that they have a little bit of shower activity down there. Bit of a closer look shows that that's all kind of moving down towards the south and east. And then we also have a few more of those storms that are occurring over towards Louisiana, just past through the Alexandria region, moving closer towards really Natchez, Mississippi, maybe just a little bit south of Natchez, there along the Mississippi River, where they have a severe thunderstorm warning. That will be missing us, though. We are not expecting any storms for us, but that wasn't the case earlier on this week. Of course, Monday morning we had a tornado that's now been confirmed for Coweta County. Again, that was back Monday morning. That is not current. Again, you may be watching this at a later time, but this is 2:33 in the afternoon on Wednesday. But on Monday morning, we did have an EF1 that has now been confirmed by the National Weather Service, had wind speeds of 90 miles per hour and was on the ground for about 3.5 miles. So, pretty strong tornado there that had made its way through Coweta County. And that wasn't the only one confirmed within the 11 Alive viewing area. We also had one confirmed in Randolph County, Alabama. This one was an EF1 as well with 110 miles per hour. And we're still waiting on what that path length may have been. Now, whenever we have severe weather, we don't have any expected here over the next few days, but whenever we have severe weather, it's important to have the 11 Alive app. And I say that because not only do you get live looks at the radar, but also we can send alerts right to your phone. Let's say you were in Coweta County under that tornado warning earlier on this week. You would be able to get alerts right there to your phone, so you would know the tornado was heading in your direction. And it's also a great tool as well when we're talking about severe weather, because you get a look at the radar, you get the alert to your phone, and then when we are live doing weather updates, similar to the one that you're seeing right now, but let's say we were doing it for severe weather instead, if you lose power at your house, as long as you have a cell signal or Wi-Fi, whatever it may be, you can watch 11 Alive giving you updates, the meteorologists here, our team, right by clicking that bottom tab there that's on your phone. And I'll go ahead and bring it up here on the app. Right there, if you click that, whenever you, let's say, lose power and we have severe weather moving through, you can still watch live updates right there on your phone. So very useful tool again. Right now, as of 2:34 in the afternoon on Wednesday, it's 83 degrees, partly cloudy sky overhead, and you see those temperatures rising into the mid 80s as we head throughout this afternoon. So nothing too out of the normal for today. Definitely much quieter compared to what we had earlier on this week. As we head throughout the rest of today, again, temperatures rising into the mid 80s. Then we move into tonight. Those temperatures will be falling back down into the 50s and 60s. We'll have a partly cloudy to mostly cloudy sky overhead. Moving into the day on Thursday, partly cloudy to mostly cloudy again, temperatures into the 70s and 80s, and then we're going to have another day where we have temperatures starting off in the 50s and 60s Friday, rising into the 80s again for the afternoon with maybe a little bit more sunshine there. So we're kind of stuck in a trend right now where we're going to have a little bit of drier conditions, but it's not going to stay like that the entire 7-day forecast. So if you're in the need of rain, don't worry. There is some there in the 7-day forecast. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But first of all, let's talk about these temperatures. Again, temperatures in the lower to mid 80s here over the next few days. That's going to be around average to maybe even just below average for this time of year. Your average high right there on the screen of 84 degrees. So kind of nice to have some more average temperatures compared to the big heat that we had just last week. Remember, on the 24th, we hit 90 degrees. So that was the hottest temperature that we've had so far this year. It is also the first time this year that we've hit 90 degrees. 89 we hit back on May 26th. So you see a lot of numbers where it's the 23rd, 24th, 26th, 27th, 28th, all from last week where we had those temperatures really over the last week total, really. We had temperatures getting way up there into the mid to upper 80s to even lower 90s. So where did 2024 rank as far as our first day to hit 90 over the past few years? Well, it's right kind of on the mark. On average, we hit our first 90-degree day on May 31st. We just hit it again on the 24th. In 2023, we hit it on May 14th. In 2022, we hit it back on May 19th. So, yeah, the earliest we ever hit it, April 23rd, we weren't anywhere close to that. So, yeah, it's kind of average for us to be hitting 90 degrees around this time. Now let's talk about rainfall. We do have some isolated showers, maybe a few isolated storms possible too as we head from Sunday all the way into the early part of next week. Doesn't look like it's going to be a soaker by any means, but still the rain chances are going to be in there as we head into the end of the week, into the end of the weekend and into early next week. Looking at the timeline here, notice that the timestamps there in the top right corner of your screen. This is Friday at 7 a.m. Notice that we're going to be a little bit drier. We're going to have a little bit more of an influence from high pressure over our region, but that high pressure is going to shift a little bit further down towards the southeast as we head throughout the end of the weekend and early next week. That's going to allow some rain chances to ramp up for us. Notice where the winds are coming from. A little bit more out of the south to southwest there by the time we head into Sunday around 4 p.m. Starting to see a few isolated showers, mainly into areas northwest of Atlanta. That trend will continue as we head into Monday around 7 p.m. You still see a few spotty showers, and then again on Tuesday, maybe even Wednesday, still seeing some of those rain chances kind of lingering around. Again, not a washout, but we could have a couple of heavy downpours. Notice the difference between areas closer towards the South Carolina border towards the Alabama border, where the rainfall is really going to occur over the next week. You notice that areas closer to the South Carolina border, we're going to see less rainfall for you. That's going to be maybe 1/4 of an inch of rain or less. The Atlanta area, anywhere from about 1/4 of an inch of rain to 3/4 of an inch, nothing too significant. Then maybe when you get closer on towards the Alabama border, let's say you're right along it, maybe you get up to 1 inch of rain, maybe 1 1/4 inches. So yeah, depending on where you're at will depend on how much rain you're going to see really throughout the next week. The higher totals closer towards the Alabama border, moderate amount of rainfall for the Atlanta region, and then much low on those rain totals there when you get closer on towards the South Carolina border. Now, Atlanta's not hurting on rainfall right now too bad. Notice that we are now trending towards the near normal mark. We were trending pretty low for the month of May there for a bit. Notice that we were really dipping down, especially last week when we had that really dry spell. You notice that we got all the way down there even to the very dry category, moving from left to right there throughout the month. But then we picked up more than 1/2 of an inch there on the 25th. And then on the 27th, we had that big soaker there just a few days ago where we had more than 1.25 inches of rain here in the Atlanta area. And you see that really bumped us up. So we're now nearly at 3 inches for the month of May. We are just 1/4 of an inch, a little less than 1/4 of an inch behind where we should be for the month. But we are not hurting for rainfall still when it comes to the year. Notice that we are more than 6 inches ahead on rain for the year. That is despite the fact that we did have a dry February, but you see how wet we were for March. We had nearly 8 inches of rain when typically we have less than 5 inches for March. And then April, we had 5 3/4 almost, when we typically just have less than 4 inches. So yeah, we've had some really wet months there, which has helped us push away the drought conditions. And then also you see there for this month, we are still a decent amount of the way behind, more than 1/2 of an inch. Again, we have a few rain chances in there for the end of the weekend and early next week, but looking like we're probably going to finish up the month of May behind average on rainfall. But again, we still aren't hurting that bad for rain. After all, we don't have any abnormally dry conditions across our region, no moderate drought, no severe drought, nothing like that anywhere near us. Let's take a wider look across the southeast. Notice that there's really no moderate drought anywhere until you head into the far northeast Arkansas region and then into the Missouri boot heel, kind of right there near the St. Francis River, and then stretching further off to the west near Thayer, Missouri. They have that moderate drought, but that is about it. So the southeast doing pretty good as a whole. Still only a little dot of exceptional drought in the entire United States, which is honestly really impressive. That southeast portions of New Mexico still have, exceptional drought. The only a small portion of the United States having exceptional drought, which is really impressive. Hopefully, though, they can get a little bit more rain down there towards southern New Mexico. Not all at once. It's a very arid region, so they don't want a ton of rain at once because then it can cause flooding, but at least enough to help push back some of those drought conditions. Let's bring it back home. 7-day forecast here for right here in Georgia. You see that we have temperatures rising into the mid 80s for today. We have lower to mid 80s here really through a majority of this next week. On Sunday, you see that we'll have a 30% chance for a few showers. Monday and Tuesday, still a 30% chance for a few scattered showers and storms in there. And then we're going to have temperatures start to rise again as we head into the early part of next week, getting back into the mid 80s, maybe just above average there by the time we head into Tuesday. So this gives us an idea on what we can expect for the beginning of June, now that it's on the board for the 7-day. But what about as we head deeper into the month of June? We're now looking beyond the 7-day forecast, day 8 through day 14. Looks like around average temperatures to maybe even above average. You see around average there in the far northwest Georgia when you get closer towards Dalton and maybe stretching into the Chattanooga region. But then the rest of us maybe just above average. That would be lower 90s, really upper 80s to lower 90s for this time of year would be above average. And that could be what we deal with there as we head into the early to middle portion of the month of June. And then as far as rain is concerned, maybe around average rainfall. Now, this isn't one of our wettest months of the year here coming up for June, but it is going to be nice to maybe have near normal compared to the soaker of a month that we had back in March and April. But this month may be a little bit more close to what we had for the month of May. So that gives you an idea on what we can expect as we head kind of further into the month of June, as it's starting to come up here just a couple of days away. But let's go ahead and also dive into hurricane season. We've been talking about this here for the past couple of weeks, how it was coming. For the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season, NOAA came out with their forecast here back on May 23rd. You see that they have forecast 17 to 25 named storms. That is well above average. 8 to 13 of those storms may become hurricanes, which is also well above average, and then major hurricanes, maybe 4 to 7 of those, which is also, again, well above average, something we'll keep a close eye out for. The 2024 hurricane season begins on June 1st. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration is citing very warm water in the Atlantic, which can fuel storm development and growth, and then development of La Nina, which limits wind shear in the Caribbean, especially, on why they are forecasting a more active season ahead of us. The first name on the list would be Alberto. The last name would be William. Of course, if we end up using all those names, we go to a list of supplemental names, which starts off with Adria, I believe is the correct way to pronounce that. I may have to look that up to make sure I'm pronouncing it correctly. And then Braylon, you see there as the next name. But right now, there are no chances for tropical development out there in the Atlantic. Again, though, we'll continue to keep you updated on all that right here at 11 Alive. I'll bring back up the 7-day forecast so you can all get a look at it one more time. We'll, of course, continue to keep you updated right here. And for any updates in the meantime, make sure you turn on 11 Alive, the NBC affiliate here in Atlanta. You can also check on 11alive.com and download that 11 Alive app for your mobile device, as well as the 11 Alive Plus app for more long-form content like the video you're watching right now on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV devices.